Well, it's a Farmall Friday and we're back to the A ski, and them new switches come in. Bought another one. Taking this one off now because in order to get the new one on, I have to take this one off. Can you believe that? So we're gonna see, but I'm gonna change that magneto out anyways, just because I have two of them rebuilt in the barn for this tractor, for a B and for a C and all that good stuff. All right, the new switch is on. Let's test her out. Is it the switch or is it a bad coil? About to find out all. I think we got a bad coil. Well, I'm still messing around with the A, and you saw I got that new carburetor put on there, but got to the point where I started to scratch my head if I had enough turning cranking amps and juice in general off that 6-volt battery to even crank it over properly. And I plugged this in yesterday and it was down to about 25%. Checked the weather report, left her in all night, and you can see I got the toe strap there, but that's off topic. And we're pushing 80%. I think I got enough juice to turn it. There was one time there where the battery wasn't extremely worn down and I popped smoke one time out of that chimney, and I thought, ooh, might have something. I do still need to change out that magneto just for peace of mind, and I do have a new set of wires too. If you were with the channel earlier in the year in the winter, I did change the plugs out on this. It wasn't starting then either, and it was a plug issue. I do have new wires for it, and I'll put that new mag on there, and after that the spark should be the least of my issues, if there are any issues to continue. But right now what I'm going to do is disconnect this charger, hook everything back up, and this is all I do to charge it. I don't go right to the battery and directly. Positive ground, negative does the trick. And so yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to disconnect. And why did we drop a little bit? That's strange to me. That's strange. Let's see if we pinch it there. What do we... Oh. Well, that's bizarre. I moved the cable connected there. I got a good connection on the ground, but I moved that and the needle shot up to 100% charged. And I did turn it up to 6 amps just now, but overnight I had it at 2 amps. Oh yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to crank this thing over fast enough and furious enough to pop smoke. Well, let's see if we can get her to pop smoke. About 3rd throttle. Out of gear, please. There we go. Let's get some choke. Yeah. Hey, we popped. Almost had her. There we go. She running. New carb and all. I gotta play with that carb. It ain't adjusted right. See if I gotta... No, she died. Oh. If I can get it running long enough to adjust the carb, I'll be all right. Well, I figured out my problem why she died. I'm sucking air through here, and this ain't tight enough, so I'm gonna take this off. I think the gasket's not a perfect fit in there, so went and got a small round file, and then that way I can file some of the gasket in that hole away and tighten her down, because as long as this is sucking air through there, I'm done. I'm dead in the water. So Yeah, that's where I'm at. I got it about as tight as I can on there. Gasket's lined up better. I don't think we're gonna get any breathing through there, so let's try to fire her up again, see if she don't run a little better. Yes, sir. There's even fuel coming out of there too, so yeah, let's give her the old college try. There we go. There we go. No. We're bubbling. Then it dies. That's interesting. Alright. Yeah, carb definitely ain't adjusted right. Alright. We got something going on here. She just died. She says, screw you. It's over. Okay. Alright, she had to start it with the choke. I just shut the choke off. She's purring. If I keep it running long enough, I can get the carb adjusted. Huh. Choke her out. Throttle up. Choke's off. See what we got going on here. That's about half choke. If I keep it running, I get the carb adjusted. Oh, come on. Yeah, I mean, now it's surging because it's getting too much fuel. That's choke. No choke. That's sucking air hard, boy. More fuel, it wants more air. Give me a flathead. That should do it. Okay, we're all the way in. Okay, that's all the way in. I'm going to come out one full turn. Half a turn. I shut her down like that. Alright, so let's come out. Let's take her down. And one full turn out on that. Okay, which is right there. Alright, let's see if we can get her started. Let's go choke. Back in run mode. Get the choke off. So that's out one full turn. Sounds good right there. Then it'll start either sucking air or not getting enough fuel, or I don't know. Maybe the Chinese carb ain't that good. That's half choke right there. Pretty much full throttle. Full throttle, no choke. Surging. Full throttle, surging. That's 2 turns out. This out a little bit more. Take her down to idle. Don't like idle. She quit. Huh. We're starving for air or fuel. One of the two. Let's go choke. Ah, man. Spinning her fast. Oh. Full throttle. Well, that did it, but I don't know, maybe these Chinese carbs ain't what they're cracked up to be after all. I think it's one of them deals, you get a good one, you get a bad one, depending on what day you get one. in there clogging it up. Can't get it to run unless it's at least 3/4 throttle. I'd say it's that carb. I had her all the way down, shut her down, brought her out. Your air idle screw, I mean, how low can I go on this? Air fuel mixture has to be equal. I'll shut that right down to nothing. There's a half a turn. There's a full turn. I'd like to be able to get this down to idle. Yeah, this is fun. I think I throw a kit in that other carburetor and be done with it. This is, I mean, it's not even adjusting really. I can shut the fuel and the air down on it and shut the tractor off, but I can't get it to run right. And you know, I've heard some pretty good stuff about these Chinese carbs. And in fact, I may be running one on one of my other tractors. I'll have to even go look, but ay. And I know we ain't sucking air through here. I know that for a fact. Well, I pulled this off here thinking there might be an obstruction up in or in the bowl. The only thing I will tell you, I mean, it's not loud, you know, I need to put more in there, but oh, I've seen way worse bowls. That's actually quite clean oil. So yeah, everything points right back to the carburetor. All right, so this is where I'm at on this. I'm 1.5 turns out on this, and I'm 1 turn out on this. And that should be a good baseline start for these carburetors, but I shouldn't have to start this thing on full throttle, without a doubt. Go back to about 3rd throttle, give it some choke to compensate for the throttle. No, choke off. Okay, it wanted to. Okay, it's putting. Okay. I mean, that's idle at, I don't know, a third of the throttle. Yeah, we're right back to the old governor surge. I've never had a problem with the governor on this, never. I decided to take her for a shake, and oddly, the carb's smoothing down. It's just bizarre to me. It won't sit there and run halfway right, but I'm in 3rd gear. Full throttle, by the way. But third gear. I don't know, man. Old Chinese carb, you get what you pay for. There it goes, the surgeon. And then it stopped. Now I'm gonna get her parked in a red shed before things get out of hand. This is gonna be probably a carb swap again, because I don't know, man. See, now we surge again. Yeah. You can see I'm 4 notches down off full throttle. That's a wrap. But I at least got it in here where I can tinker with it, even if it's raining out or whatever. But I don't think there's any tinkering. I think I rebuild that Marvel Schwebler and call it good. Well, most of you saw me bringing this cub home and using it. And when I engaged the deck, the 42C Woods deck, initially it had a funny noise and then it evened out. I think somebody put your retainer bearing in backwards, which would be right there. Once you split it apart, you'll see there's a flat side to it, and then there's a kind of a rim side, but on both sides it has little female slots that you slide in, and it locks it in place, and then the flat side would be out here. And I'm going to tell you, if you put that bearing in backwards, 9 times out of 10 your PTO won't even engage. So ruled out the overrun clutch going bad, ruled out the bearing going bad, but I haven't ruled out what's underneath the deck. And I'm going to show you here. Right, so here we are under the deck, and I'm not very familiar with these decks at all, but you see how that blade moves over there? I almost wonder if that's not loose to the point it needs tightened, because what's happening is when I engage the PTO, the blade's not being tight. They flap and they flop, and they make noise until everything, this centrifugal force finally gets everything spinning right and in line. But that flapping and flopping, that's where your noise is coming from. You can see when I reach way over that this blade, I'm trying not to touch that sharp edge. Although, I don't know, I've felt sharper before. But you can see this moves in here, and I'm sure there's a lot of clanging and banging and stuff until it, like I say, everything catches up. That in my opinion, 95%, nah, we'll go 98.5%. That's where your noise is coming from. Those blades are flapping and clanging and banging. And once they catch up and it silences. Runs really good, man. I have absolutely no complaints. But most definitely I'm going to look into how tight those blades need to be, because there's no doubt that's where the noise is coming from when I initially engage it. They mentioned that this is an original. I like that on there. I saw that 48 Cub in the last video, and that's not, it was set up just like this without that. But I kind of like having a little Cubby sticker on there. Yes, sirree. And it's all set up for I mean, you could put one of them 1,000 loaders on here. I actually have an auction video. If you go back far enough, they sold a Cub at auction. It was oh, I don't know, I think one of the Chesleys did it. And it had a 1000 loader. It just comes around. It's a single arm. And guy, I think he got that tractor for about $3,000 with the loader. And what was weird about that is it did have the fast hitch in the back. And they sold the implements first. Ay, 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 ay. So you don't know if you're gonna win the tractor or not, but yep, so far so happy with it. Now I haven't even as much as cracked a book on these decks. And I'm guessing that there could definitely be an overrun clutch built into this. And if there indeed is this one's shot, you should be able to turn the blades backwards and hear the click, 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 click. And not only that, but when I push the clutch in, when I'm out mowing, I still float forward. So there's no overrun clutch on this machine at all. In terms of a good one, if there is one in there. This Zerk right here calls for every 24 hours of use. And they say grease it until grease comes out the top there. As you can see, grease did come out the top before I used it. So I don't know. I'm not really worried about necessarily the overrun clutch being fully functional. I had it probably 3/4 throttle, and I pushed the clutch in and I floated forward probably 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet. I don't have cliffs, trees that I'm going to be mowing around that I'm going to need to stop on a dime to make sure I don't hit the tree. I wouldn't get that close to one even if I had an overrun clutch. So yeah, that's a couple of things. There should be a hood over this spindle assembly, I guess you'd call it. And then somebody was asking me, well, how do you keep it level? Well, I just kind of eyeballing it. This is not a finished mower, but there should be bolted on here like a set of shoes, and they're as long as that, so they're probably, I don't know, 14 to 16 inches long on both sides. And when you drop it down, you can adjust those. Most people are probably going to have them at 3-4 inches, but yeah, it's missing those, and it's missing the, I guess you'd call it a safety cover. Other than that, but it for me it is perfectly fine. And I'll do further research. There's probably a book on a 42C. Like I say, the problem's going to be there's variations of this. But if indeed, I can run it the rest of my life with a bad overrun, I'll run it. It ain't really the end of the world to me at all. So, yeah, and here's the Super C. It's got a Chinese carb on there too. I probably will change this out. One common denominator is you get governor surge with these carbs. Say, well, you gotta adjust them for the carburetor and all that. No thanks. I'd rather have original parts and pieces on here than to dummy the tractor down to a piece of junk. So there you go. And I've had at least a couple of you ask me how you can get the recall caps. And I'm going to leave a link in the description down below. It's been a couple years since I've done that. It was actually the Farmall H video that I did that, and I don't expect you to go leaf through the playlist, but I'll leave a link in the description down below. I think next star, you go in and you type in the serial number, I think your name and some other basic info, and lo and behold, I don't know if it's over in Ohio or where it's at, but I get my caps quick. I mean, within 10 days, there's a cap in the mail, so I'll be ordering one for this, no doubt. And yeah, you still can't see any leak marks. It's almost like somebody painted over that vent hole, and it's staying kind of gooey right there, almost like the. Yeah, well, sure. I just popped the paint blister, and it's got gas in it. So there you go. All the more reason you need a recall cap. They're absolutely free. And if you priced them, they're probably worth about $40.